couldn't even imagine this. This is new to me. Before I go any further, I've got something I need to say publicly that I have not said up until now. I'm married, been married for almost 30 years to a woman named Yolanda. Now, I told her in the car a few minutes ago that I believe that if it wasn't for her, that I would probably be drunk in somebody's gutter, or would have been somewhere overseas in the Army, or I wouldn't have been where I am right now with the wonderful children and wonderful family that I have if it was not for her. And during this whole episode, if it hadn't been for her, I would probably still be wearing the same clothes I had on at the city council, going around in circles in my living room like I had to do. I just want to say right now, I want to say thank you to her for keeping everything to me. I have a full-time job, and handling this thing and her own business at the same time. And she's done it, and she's done it with flying colors. And I like I said, nothing can compare with a good wife. Nothing on earth. The second thing I want to say is I want to say thank you to all of you all. I never expected for the words that I spoke at the city council to affect so many people, but I certainly am blessed and honored that it did. I've received messages from all over the country. I mean, Washington, California, Oregon, Colorado, just stacks and stacks of mail, phone calls, Facebook messages. And like I said, I never expected any of this. And it's a very, very humbling experience to have people call you up and say, hey, you're my hero. I just can't believe it. And like I said, I just want to thank each and every one of you for your support and your kind words that you've given me. As far as me, I'm married. Like I said, about 30 years. I have 2 children. I have a son who's 27. He works, goes to school somewhat. I have a daughter who is currently going to law school at NC Central. She's got, a year left, right? She's got a year left in law school. And I have a little 8-month-old grandson who is, I had absolutely no idea how thrilling it would be to be a grandparent. I thought being a parent was something, but being a grandparent is just something about those grandchildren.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what it is. It just makes you bust open with pride. But one of the overriding themes that I've heard throughout this entire thing is the theme of courage. People write me letters and call me and say, thank you for being courageous. Now, I love history. I'm currently going to school studying history, had plans to be a history professor at the college level. So anytime you hear me talk or speak, I'm liable to bring up some historical fact or some historical happening or compare this to history. And here's the reason why I love history. History not only teaches us about our past, but it can serve as a guide for the future. And more importantly, it can serve as inspiration for the present. Now, our republic right now, no matter what anybody says, our republic is under attack.
That's right.
Yes,
The lady said earlier, it's nothing but Marxist socialists and communists who are trying to turn this country into a socialist nation. Now, I'm not going to sit by and let it happen. I'm going to do my journey to keep my 8-year-old grandson and his children the same thing that Thomas Jefferson and George Washington and the founding fathers bequeathed me. And you talk about courage, things come to my mind like there's a fellow named Sullivan Ballou who wrote a letter home to his wife during the Civil War. Some of you may have heard of it. It was before the Battle of Bull Run, I believe. And in that letter, Sullivan Ballou says, I know how the triumph of our nation leans upon the government and how much of a debt we owe to those who went before us through the blood and suffering of the revolution. And then he said, and I am willing, perfectly willing, to lay down all my joys in this life to help maintain this government and to pay that debt. And Sullivan Ballou did that. He gave his life. He gave up his young wife that he loved with all his heart and left his children and gave them up to help maintain this nation. Now, Sullivan Ballou and thousands of men like him, both before and after, could leave their homes and their family and give up everything, their futures, for this nation, then there is no reason why we can't rise up and fight to preserve what they built. Anything that I can do to help sustain this nation, because I'm going to tell you, as a child, I didn't understand how good I had it. The older I get, and the more of the world I see, and the more history I learn, I absolutely understand how blessed we are in this country. This is a blessing to be here. This country focuses on the success of the individual. The only nation that I've ever seen in history that does that. And the last thing I want to say is this. I speak a lot about the Second Amendment. This country was founded. The fight for this country began because of a gun grab, 1775, when the British came here to seize the arsenal. Now, I'm going to tell you what, folks. For me, this is what it boils down to. I'm going to take my message out to this country, and I want people to rise up. And this is what I want you to do, and this is my challenge to everybody in this room. I don't want you to be afraid anymore. Those men were farmers and blacksmiths, and they came from all walks of life. And they grabbed their arms and took on the most powerful army in the world. Now, with courage like that, they founded this country and gave us what we have. So what we have to do now, we have to put the spirit of those men from 1775, let it get behind us and push us forward. And we need to keep the knowledge of Jesus Christ and his wisdom of his front. We need to move forward. And we need to tell these guys, this is our country. It was bequeathed us. We're going to keep it, come hell or high water. Yeah.